Alright, well I'm still up here in the northwest of Scotland and I've got this camera, the PMW F3, for one more day before I have to give it back. Now, I made the point in the report last week that this camera shoots at 35 megabits a second, XDCam EX. That's a format I know well. I use on my EX1, I use on my EX3. But the problem is, when you want to go to broadcast, they're not always happy to accept 35 megabits a second at 420. They want 422. So what do? We've got the SDI out, and we also have the HDMI out. Now that will give you 422.
Just a minute, ladies and gentlemen, I think something is happening.
In this case here, I have got a Ninja. Now the Ninja is made by ATOMOS, and it's a 422 Prores Recorder. This is the Ninja unit itself. Nice little portable unit. Hard drive slots straight into the side. Charger for the batteries, 2 batteries, what they call the master caddy that enables you to put the hard drive and connect it up to your Mac. Power supply, a few other bits and pieces, cables, USB, Firewire, and the all important hard drives themselves. Now you've got to get that yourself, but you do get some caddies. Now in there I've got a 500 gig drive, and I've also got an SSD, so I'm well kitted out for shooting. It's worth making the point that you must get yourself an HDMI cable, and you need this to actually mount the Ninja unit onto the camera itself. Take the hard drive, slot straight into the side, and then this little unit here, screw it right into the bottom, and then just put it right onto the camera, and it makes for a very nice package. And just before you get out and shoot, make sure the camera is set to take the video signal out of the HDMI. On the EX1, on this camera, the F3, you can decide whether the signal goes out the SDI or HDMI. Press the button to switch the Ninja on, make sure your camera's switched on. So I'm now ready to go, camera in hand, Ninja on board. I'm now ready to get out and shoot. So it's a ProRes recorder, and it will record ProRes 422, ProRes LT, or ProRes HQ, which is great because you're pretty well covered on all the levels of ProRes other than ProRes Proxy. And to be honest, I wouldn't want to be shooting ProRes Proxy. It actually takes either an SSD inside the unit or a spinning drive. Supposedly what they say is if you're going to have the thing bouncing around, if you're running through the jungles of Africa, bouncing around on a car, then you want an SSD. But for most things, a spinning drive should be fine. Now, I've had this thing out and I've been testing it, and I found it very good. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. It's a ProRes recorder, HDMI, HDMI in. And I was a little bit concerned when I saw HDMI because SDI is definitely the professionals format, and yet HDMI works absolutely fine. I was concerned that perhaps it would take time to see the signal, perhaps it would drop out. I'd seen no evidence of that at all. It's been completely reliable. So it's incredibly simple to use. Just hit the record button and you are then recording in ProRes according to the quality that you've defined. So let's talk about the Ninja in operational terms. So the very first thing you're going to have to do is format the hard drive. So just press this little icon down the bottom and you can see I've got a Hitachi 500 gigabyte hard drive, and it says, "Are you sure?" Obviously you want to be very careful here. Hit format and it's doing it. We can see formatting and it's okay, it's done. Now to actually see how much space we've got on the drive, if I just plug in, this will actually give it a signal coming into the Ninja. And we'll know because there we go, we've got a red record button. So when we've got a red record button, we know we're good to go. Now, it tells us that we're on ProRes 422 and it says 8 hours 37. So that's a lot of time to be recording. And that's a 500 gig drive. Just imagine what you could do with a 750 or even a terabyte drive. All right, ProRes 422, I can easily change it. Press the button again, ProRes LT, and immediately you can tell that the time's jumped to 12:25. And press it one more time, ProRes HQ, which is the highest quality, and we get 5 hours 45. So no matter how you look at it, if you've got a decent sized hard drive inside of the Ninja, you're going to get ridiculously long record times. As you can see, anywhere from 12 hours to 5 hours on a 500 gig drive, depending which quality setting you use. Now it functions as a monitor. If I press the monitor button, you can see I get a view of the room, what the camera's looking at. Now, it's not necessarily the highest quality monitor. In bright sunshine, it can be difficult to see. I will make the point that ATOMOS actually make a shade for it so you can see it in bright situations. But this isn't the point. It's not trying to be a high quality monitor. It's for general purpose viewing, for framing your shots, and most importantly, you've got a little record button there, and it's so convenient and so easy to get to. I don't care if I'm filming in bright sunshine, as long as I can see that little button, which I can in the bright sunshine, I can hit the record. You don't even need to use it for a viewing monitor. Just go back to the normal setup and you've got a nice big record button. You're not going to miss it. Now I'm just going to change the hard drive in the unit because I've got a lot of material recorded onto this drive here, and I want to show you what the playback capabilities are about. So once the drive is mounted, which will take just a moment, there we go. Okay, it says play. So if I hit the play button, it will show me the interface. Now, all of these numbers refer to shots. Now you can see it's scene 001, shot 001. So I can scroll up and down. I can choose any of the takes. There you go, take 5, hit the play button, and it's playing back. And it's actually quite a decent viewing monitor. I mean, you can sit there and look at it. I want to make one more point about the monitor as well, which is I said in bright sunshine it can be difficult to see what's going on, and that is the case. Certainly not in terms of hitting the record button, but if you want to actually frame your image in its bright sunlight. But if you're working inside, you might be filming a conference, you might be doing an interview, there's no problem seeing the display on the screen. Now, in terms of monitoring, you can look back at any of your clips. There you go, press play, and you can see it's playing back. So it works really as a fully functional recorder for doing ProRes. It's good for playing back your images. What you can't do is actually take the signal out and feed it into another device, because that's not what it's designed for. To do that, you need to actually take out the drive unit itself. There you go. So that's the drive. And then you take what's called the master caddy. There you go, master caddy. Drive slots straight into it. And you are now ready to plug that into your Mac via FireWire. So I've checked out what I've been recording on the Ninja, and I'm really happy to say that it's all good. I'm very happy with it. It does what it's supposed to do. Now I tested out the SSD, I tested out the spinning drive. All the clips I recorded are there, nothing is missing. And really, I mean, that's the core function of this thing, is to record ProRes direct to either SSD or to spinning drive, so it all works. But if you want to bump up the quality, if you want to go to broadcast level, the Ninja will do it because it's a ProRes recorder. Now, we have ProRes LT, that's around about 100 megabits a second. We have ProRes Standard, which is 145 megabits a second. You can go all the way up to ProRes HQ, which is 220 megabits a second. So you are definitely working within the broadcast realm. And not only that, it bumps up the level of quality for chroma keying. You'll get much better results. And not only that, if you're doing a serious, important job, I mean, why not have a ProRes recorder on there? Why not lift that level of quality? And the huge thing which I love, this is giving you a second recording at higher quality than you've got going onto the media, which is inside the camera. So you've got dual recording. And the huge thing for me, this is a very big deal, is I can get very long records. I bought 2 500 gig drives, Hitachi drives. They cost me £55 each. That's not a lot of money. Am I going to use it every time I step out and record? No. Am I going to use it at other times? Definitely. When will I use it? As I said, serious long records, important shoots where you want the benefit of dual recording, and if there's any sort of broadcast work, and if you're doing fine detail work such as chroma keys, or if you just know it's really important and you just want it to look as good as possible. Now there's been some talk as well into what exactly this Ninja unit is recording. Now, when you put the signal into it, you'll see it says 720/50 or it says 1080i. So some people have been speculating as to whether it's basically recording an interlaced signal. I called up the people at ATOMOS and I put the question to them. And what they said to me is the Ninja will record whatever you put into it, whatever you set the camera to be. So the output of the camera is what feeds in. So if you're putting 1080/25p in, that's what it records. Don't worry that it says 1080i on the Ninja itself, but the input is actually what's coming out of the camera. And likewise, it'll say 720/50 is what it records if you go into 720 mode. But if you're outputting 720/25, that's what goes into it. What's more, I need to add to that myself, which is I've done tests shooting 1080/25 and I've looked back at the results and I see absolutely no interlacing. Your content is ready to edit as soon as you've shot it. You just take the hard drive out, grab hold of the master caddy, slot the drive in, and you can edit off the drive if you choose. If you prefer, plug it in and copy it over, which I would suggest is the better way to go. Better to have your media in two places than one, just in case the worst situation imaginable happens and the drive happens to have a problem. But whatever the case, if you need to edit quick, take that drive out, begin editing. It's all there ready to go. Now, using the Ninja, when you plug it into your Mac, you'll see that every single clip you've recorded goes inside of a separate folder. Now, that's a little bit awkward, and for my means, I've taken all the clips and put them inside of one folder before I bring them into Final Cut. That's just the way I like to work. It only takes a moment, it's not a big deal, but it is slightly awkward. But, you know, overall, the device, there's serious advantages to it. The unit's reliable, it doesn't miss any clips, it works well, and if anyone's heard any stories of perhaps a few little functionality issues, I will say the people at ATOMOS have been updating the software regularly, and when I first got my hands on this, it wasn't perfect, and it's a whole lot better now. Whatever issues, little things, niggly things, nothing major. There were a few things it did that were perhaps a bit strange on the very first release of the software, but I've been testing it this week, and I've been testing it extensively, and I haven't seen any issues at all. And the other point I'll make is in terms of archiving, this can be really good. You keep your content on the hard drive, you put it on the shelf and it's ready to go. So that's a nice thing to put on the shelf. It's a nice portable size and all your content is kept secure. Of course, I made the point and I'll say it again, I'm never happy having it only on one drive, but even so, it's the equivalent of the modern version of a tape sitting on a shelf. So I've got another camera here. This is the EX1R, another camera which has HDMI on it. Okay, put the Ninja on top. There it is, in place. Put the HDMI straight into the back of the camera. And once again, we are now ready to record direct to ProRes. Now, ProRes gives you a lot of advantages. Number one, as I said, it will boost you into the broadcast realm. If you're using Final Cut, might be Final Cut 7, might be Final Cut 10. ProRes works brilliantly in the editing system. Aside from that, because you're recording to hard drive, you can record for massive extended periods of time. I mean, you can record for 8 hours at a time. And it gives you redundancy. On this camera, I record to S/S card, but I'm also recording to hard drive. So I've got two recordings in place, which is absolutely fantastic. Any problem, I've got a second recording. Now, in addition to all that, let's say you've got a camera with SDI. What do? The Ninja is an HDMI only device. Well, they've got another product coming out. Let's say it's a sister product to the Ninja. It's called the Samurai. And the Samurai is an SDI recorder. And it's got a few advantages. It's got a better quality display. It's got SDI in, as I mentioned. And it will also function as a playout device. The Ninja isn't a playout device. To make use of the Ninja in terms of getting your footage off, you take the drive out, you put it into the caddy, and you do it that way straight into your Mac. If you've got the new one, the Samurai, which is yet to be released, ATOMOS have said IBC, well, that will work as a playout device, so you could take the SDI feed and use it for other purposes, perhaps into a vision mixer for playing clips out, or maybe you might want to use it for feeding through to a monitor or whatever. Whatever the case, the Ninja and the soon-to-come Samurai, they offer an affordable solution for recording direct to ProRes. And ProRes, as we all know, has become a standard over the last number of years, and it's used throughout the production industry, and it represents a quality jump for all of us from some of the compressed codecs which these cameras offer.